it is because the team works well, and they've made some good advancements. But I think in the particular year that I was there, it was just everything was new and everyone was learning at the same time.
Yeah, one bad scene doesn't mean you've got a bad movie.
Keep on, getting up, giving it your all. And I'm just thinking, man, your age, you shouldn't really have to be thinking about that. Racing, the biggest thing about racing is the financing.
Hello everyone, welcome back to TST Pod or Trackside Tales for a very special episode today, because we are back up and running with what is now Season 2, Episode 1, where we're bringing you a ton more content on YouTube and Instagram, having more long-form videos that you can actually view in MP4 yourself rather than just listening on Spotify. That'll still be running with video as well. And to join us for the first episode, which we finally got scheduled, is Joshua Dufek, Formula 3 driver, and you've raced in a ton of other categories, and we're going to have a fun chat today about pretty much anything to do with motorsport, whether that's looking at the financial side or driver coaching side, which you do, and just basically taking a big chance for you to promote whatever the hell you want here.
Absolutely, mate. Thanks. Pleasure being on here with you, and let's get chatting then, shall we?
Yes, perfect. So, of course, if you want to give a bit of an intro about yourself, because I've got, your own Wikipedia page here, but if you want to give maybe an introduction in your own terms, the series you've raced in, and of course, you started karting at round 7, so...
Yeah, so, obviously, my name's Josh, I'm 20 years old, and I'm a racing driver, kind of in a weird in-between spot, you could say now. But yeah, I've been racing since the age of 7 or 8. Did karting up until 14, and then ran through a variety of single-seater series until middle of this year, where unfortunately, we ran out of financing. So, that's me.
Yeah, and of course, when you're talking about motorsport, nothing is going to be cheap, unfortunately. Even what is considered the bottom of motorsport, the grassroots, is karting. And just getting into that, me personally, for about a year, we're already spending like $20,000, which is absolutely insane. So how does it feel to be in the position you are at the moment? I know other drivers recently, like Zach O'Sullivan is a big one, who was unable to race in Formula 2 because he ran out of finances. I've even talked to people like I won't say names specifically, about drivers that were going to make the next step up in motorsport, had talks, but just the finances weren't there. What do you do in a situation like that you're at now?
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, racing, the biggest thing about racing is the financing. And without money, unfortunately, nowadays especially, you can't really do too much. And, I get asked by a bunch of young drivers, a bunch of people, how do you find sponsors? How do you do this? How do you, get support? And there's no secret about it, really. I think the key is knowing people, having connections, first of all, and then just going to as many companies, as many businesses as possible, and advertising yourself. And I think there's also an aspect of knowing how to advertise yourself and show value for people sponsoring you or supporting you, because in the end, no one is really just going to give you money. They want to see some upside for themselves as well. So there's a side to that, but at the end of the day, you just have to you're gonna get a big amount of no's, but you have to kind of ask until you finally get a yes. And like you said, in karting already, the prices are
it's crazy,
ridiculously high.
Even looking at Formula V's, just like the first step of open wheel racing could be it's mental sometimes.
Yeah, it's absolutely mental. I mean, I remember when I first went into international karting, and back then we were already paying around 300,000 for a season in karting, which is absolutely insane. And my parents, we're from a good background.
Yeah,
I'm lucky enough uh, to be supported by them, but at the same time they're not ultra rich.
yeah,
I also have a brother and a sister, and we have a very good quality of life here in Switzerland. But my parents can never afford any of the single seater, or even already the karting, let alone F3 and that, which runs you up millions. So
yeah,
yeah. That being said, I have been very lucky with my dad because both my parents, because you know they've been able to give me many contacts, and actually most of my sponsors and investors and supporters come through the contacts of my parents. And having contacts, like I said to you earlier, it's not about what you know, it's about who you know. And I mean, I cannot stress how key that really is. Yeah, it's especially when you get up to F3, F2, you're not looking for hundreds of thousands, you're looking for literally millions.
yeah, like millions. And even living well
Yeah.
off, like being well off in life, having great money is still
Yeah.
poor in motorsport.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah,
It's tough, and it's kind of sad in a way, because you can never just race without having that in the back of your mind, that you need to find the financing, you need to find the money. It will always be a part of the racing, because I mean it's such a big business as well. The amount of money that flows through motorsports for from A to Z for various different things is just mad, and it's a huge business. And you can see now, as F1 has gotten so popular over the years, the advertising and everything, money is just becoming more and more important. So yeah, that's what it is. And now I'm at this stage now. I have to figure out what I'm going to do next. I think obviously F3, F2 will be very unlikely, because I think realistically I won't be able to find that kind of budget. Looking at other things, maybe going more into endurance, I think that's the direction I will go in. But even still now, I don't know exactly what the plan is. I've been talking to a few people, but like I said, it's kind of, yeah, we have to kind of see now for the future. And either way, with some of the contracts I'm involved in, there are some technicalities, and I can't actually technically drive just yet full time for another team, let's say. So yeah, that's it basically.
yeah. I think there is a small plus to motorsport in that it is very expensive, but, and I've talked about this extensively with many commentators, there is a crazy amount of opportunities out in racing, not just for drivers that might do great, because of course you've already had good success in Formula 4 series, picking up wins, and then making it to Formula 3. There's so many options other than just Formula 1 if you're looking at open wheels, Super Formula, IndyCar, and then, as you said, endurance racing. Literally every country has some sort of GT series, so that's something that's really great, how widespread motorsport has become, and is a little more accessible in the lower tiers, but not so much the top tiers.
Absolutely, I 100% agree. I mean, don't get me wrong, even though the costs are a bit of a downside. I mean, motorsports is still motorsports. There's no other sport like it.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I love racing to bits, and the feeling you get when you're in a car.
Yeah, the adrenaline is just like... I remember my first time getting in a go-kart, and even just karting, I absolutely love it. The sensation, the speed, and the thrill. So it's, nothing like it.
Absolutely. For me, there's nothing really like it. And so, that's really the aspect that I think, a lot of people, they really fall in love with that. And that's why there are so many people doing it and wanting to do it. And I think it's really great. And like you said, the amount of opportunities that there are in terms of different series, whether that's over in Japan or in the US with other forms of open wheel racing, endurance, which is all over the world. There are really endless possibilities. I think in our case it was really just the idea was always like Formula One.
Yeah.
And especially for a lot of my supporters who put a lot of money in, I think the idea for going for something else, something other than that, was just not as appealing. And obviously, as an investor, you want to make your money back. And I think when you're racing in other series, you're never going to be able to really make the amount of money that you're going to make in F1, obviously. But F1 is incredibly difficult to reach. It's possible, but you need everything to align. Let's be honest. There are many talented drivers out there who maybe should have been in F1, but who haven't reached there because budget or connections.
We were just talking about it's about who you know as well, because there was quite a debate recently actually about the I guess the actual reliability of Formula 2 in making Formula 1 drivers, because I think for like 3 years in a row the F2 champions didn't get a call up to Formula 1. So, and now there's like shown briefly that it doesn't matter so much about your performance in F2. And I remember at Silverstone this weekend the commentator said you don't get hired for your performance in F2 but also in F1, because the path is quite clear now from karting, F4, F3, F2, F1.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, to me it's very clear why. I mean, running through the series, it is basically like a funnel. So you start at karting. People do karting all over the world, and you have the national championships, which funnel into international, which funnels into F4. There are various different F4 championships across the world as well. Relatively easy to get a seat. Then beyond that, there's Formula Regional, kind of Formula 3 spec series, until you get to FIF3, where there are only 30 seats available. And those 30 seats are already difficult to get hold of, especially if you want to get into a good team.
Yeah.
Then from F3 to F2, it's another, 8 drivers less. So even less possibilities to get an F2 seat. And then the budget gets higher. And then once you get, the issue is you have 20 drivers in F2, and they all want to get to F1. And I think at the end of the season, you will have, 3 to 5 drivers who you could say really deserve to have an F1 seat, but they're never going to get that opportunity because F1, they just can't cycle the drivers that much.
Yeah, they got like 22 timing as well.
Whether it's wealthier drivers who really have their feet dug into the ground and kind of anchored into the F1 world, or it's, you're not going to kick out, however old Lewis Hamilton is, you're not going to kick him out if he doesn't want to go for a younger driver. He's just got such a big name, He brings so much money to the championship and to teams as well. So I mean, that's the issue. I think in an ideal world, F1 would have more teams, more places, because I think not only would that open up more possibility, but then the drivers would cycle a little bit more. I mean, in a grid of 20 drivers in F1, you have, I'd say, 70% of them will be there for 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, they're almost cycling through the rookies, and then you have like the 6 or 7 or 8 main guys that are at the top and will stay there for quite a time.
They will stay there for quite a time, and they'll always be more attractive to other F1 teams. Let's say if they switch team, they'll be more attractive because they have that experience. Whereas, an F2 rookie coming in, of course, he presents a lot of potential and opportunity. You see, like, great drive. I mean, just for this year, we've had so many great rookies come in. I mean, Antonelli, he's, for me, kind of, one of a kind. He's really, the talent he's got and the ability he's got at his age is really, I mean, super, super impressive. Along with, Bortoletto and other guys like that. They're kind of an investment because they will take a few years to really get up to speed. You see what it was like at the beginning with Max, Lando, or now Oscar. I mean, Oscar for me is a bit of an anomaly because I think he got in and straight away he was super, super impressive.
Yeah, but the thing with Oscar Piastri as well is, because we were talking about timing and how, an F1 might not be available. Imagine if Piastri, because he didn't get the seat once he won back-to-back F3 and F2, what if then he decided, which is a very realistic option, is I don't have an option in F1, so I might go look at Super Formula or IndyCar. It'd be crazy.
There you go. Yeah, it's crazy. And I mean, to be fair, Lawson, who's now in F1 finally, who's had a bit of a difficult time, but that's what he did. He went over to Japan and did Super Formula, didn't he?
Yeah,
so
build up a bit more of a name.
Yeah, and the thing is, he's a bit old and there's a lot of pressure, and that's the thing. You come into F1 and straight away there's an expectation of you to perform. And you can see that there are some rookies who only last, 1 or 2 years. You see, Mick Schumacher, he came in and he was only able to stay there for, what was it, 2 seasons. And yeah, it's very competitive, and I mean that's where, like you said, having other series can be very good. And I think really, I hope in the future these other series, they expand even more and they become even bigger, because you want endurance racing. I mean now it's getting more and more popular as well, but it doesn't really get the respect it should. I think a lot of people look at F1 and they see it's the big thing, it's the main thing, and it is. The cars in F1, you can't really compare them to anything else. At the same time, endurance racing in itself is, or any other series, it's got its own kind of uniqueness that really should be appreciated as well. So, yeah, I think it would be cool if, they bunched F1 together with some endurance series, or if they put it together, because, it would maybe bring out some more awareness to other more neglected series.
It's good actually at the moment this weekend, because I made a video about how F1, F2, F3 and F4 are on the same weekend this weekend. Which so I think that's going to be great for British F4, and then F3 and F2 making the headlines a bit more. And of course I know quite a few people in the British F4 Championship, and because it's F4, they're all still incredibly young and fighting a ton, so they need all the money and attention they can get. So stuff like that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that aspect is great. I mean, yeah, to have F2 and F3 running on the same weekend as F1 it makes it a lot more attractive, let's say, for sponsors as well, because
Yeah.
you can go to businesses and say, look, do you want to have your name on the car? I race every weekend. I race is alongside F1, and our races are broadcast on TV, and we've got all of these viewers who are watching. And I mean that to hear that from company's point of view, they'll be much more likely to put some money in.
Yeah, because I'm sure as a driver, you've got to like sell yourself and say what you can provide the business. Like they don't care.
Yeah.
They like, in all respect, if you're approaching a driver for a sponsor and they don't know you, they won't really care about you, but more so what you can give, what kind of money they can get out of it and promotion. We'll get right back to that in just a second. I'll just say this once. If you haven't already, make sure you like and subscribe. Rate the podcast wherever you're watching. I really appreciate you watching this far into the episode. We've tried a lot to get Season 2 up and running, and there's some big announcements coming up soon with Formula 1 Grand Prix and all that, so make sure you stay tuned. Anyway, back to it with Josh Dufek.
Exactly. I think that's definitely a big part, selling yourself. But another part of it as well, which people don't really think about, is there are a lot of business owners out there. They're super passionate about racing, and if you can really inspire them, if you can almost bring them back to their roots when they were young and watching F1, and really kind of give them emotions, then that could really entice them to support you as well. So, and I think you have to be quite open-minded as well. You're not always going to find a big investor who's going to put in millions into you. That's very, very rare, and you have to be really well set up for that. But you have to be patient, and sometimes something that may not start off as very much to begin with can evolve into a very big kind of source of funding or support or whatever it may be. So it's tough, and I look at some drivers. I mean, I've been driver coaching a lot more now recently with some more time on my hands, and there are some younger drivers I'm coaching, and they ask me like, how do I find sponsors? And they're like, yeah, exactly, like yourself. And but like some kids, they're 10 years old, 11 years old, and I'm just thinking, man, your age, you shouldn't really have to be thinking about that.
Just doing it. Just gotta do it for fun and do it.
You've got to enjoy it, and I know it for myself as well. Like, whenever I've been super preoccupied about thinking about sponsors and investments and money and all of that, it's kind of taken the fun away. So
it doesn't help.
I guess you've got to find the balance as well, and you've got to have really that. You've got to want it. That's for sure. If you don't want it, then there's no point really. You're never going to find sponsors if it's something you really, really want to do. So it's a hard, tough world to be in, but you've got to kind of adapt and take yourself out there, and like you're doing yourself. I mean, with all of the stuff that you're posting and that, I have to say, really, I mean, respect from my side. It's not easy. At least I don't find it easy to be that active on social media. I mean, to be completely honest, I've been very rubbish with it over the years. I think if there's one thing I could have done better, it was probably the social media side, with being more kind of out there and posting. But
it's getting quite big recently, and that's a thing that I think could be crucial for sponsors in the future as well.
Absolutely. I think that's one area where maybe I missed out on a little bit, and I could have done a better job. But it's something. I mean, some people love to do it as well. I've spoken to some people, and and they're like, oh yeah, I love posts, and they've got their phone out every 2 seconds, posting every second thing they're doing. But for me, I just don't like to do it. I'm not a person who really would take pictures of anything and everything, and but it's at the same time that's not really an excuse. I should post more because it's important, and in this world where everything's so digital, everyone's so glued to their phones, it's stupid, frankly, not to use that as an advantage.
Whole untapped audience that'd definitely help the sponsors be a bit more attracted to you. Because I know a great example is I hope I'm pronouncing his name right, but Kit Bolowski. He's a karting driver, and he's got his own Instagram's got 3 million followers because he's made whatever kind of content he wants. And to say to sponsors, I race alongside F1, but then I've also got a platform with 3 million followers, that probably helps quite a bit. Yeah,
I think even the side of having more followers will probably be even more powerful than saying I race alongside F1, because you think there are some people on, they don't do so much, but you've got really popular, famous people who have got millions of followers, and they get sponsorship deals just for talking about a brand.
Yeah, or making a post on their Instagram for 10k.
Making one post for exactly. So I think it's really something. Like I said, it's something I failed with, to be honest. But yeah, it's super, super powerful, and I think if you're able to have both, the speed and the pace and the ability alongside that kind of marketability of yourself and social media presence, it's the sky is really the limit there, and I think that's where it's going towards nowadays, especially.
Exactly. If you ever need any photos or videos or B-rolls, I'm here. But no, going back to your driver development, when you said talking to people about sponsors and is driver coaching. Of course, you said you did it more recently, but do you think that's going to be a big thing for you for creating a network or people in racing? Because we'll have to talk after, because it's funny, we were talking about driver coaching and the bend isn't in iRacing, and then it gets announced 2 weeks later.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think the driver coaching side, to be honest, I kind of stumbled into it a little bit more. It's not something really, I'd say even chose to do, but I think, in the past, working with teammates and stuff, I've always enjoyed kind of giving advice and trying to help others. It's always been something that kind of made me feel good. If I can help someone, make them feel more confident in the car, or help them speed up, or make them quicker in a certain corner, then it's been something that I've really enjoyed doing. And I've done some coaching for some younger drivers in the area as well, for some time now. But actually a lot of people, ended up messaging me saying, hey, do you have advice for this and that? And being completely honest as well, as a racing driver, I stopped school when I was 16.
Oh yeah.
So I made racing my whole life, and so most likely, not most likely, certainly, racing is what I will always. It will always be a part of my life, basically.
Yeah, in any form.
In any form. And alongside the racing, obviously, I've got sponsors and investors that have supported me financially. But other than that, I still kind of have to make a living for myself and earn some money. And so I thought, it's a great way to combine both. And when I think about it, there are driver coaches. They're on track, and they charge anywhere from 500 euros to 1,000 euros a day, which I think is absolutely crazy. And there are a few people out there who coach younger people as well, but I think it was really a great opportunity to kind of talk to some younger drivers and kind of give them my experience, because it's something I realized as well over the years. I've been racing for over 10 years now, for well over 10 years, and I've got such a wide range of experience, and I've worked with so many great engineers, so many coaches and whatnot. So I think if I can use my experience and bring that over to some younger drivers, and especially in an affordable way, because yes, I want to make money out of it, but also I don't want to bankrupt my clients.
Yeah, exactly.
From the driver coaching side alone, I want to give good coaching, good advice for good value of money. And I know if I found the right client, I could probably sell my services for for 3 times the amount I am selling it now. But it's in the end, I also want to be able to help some younger drivers, and a lot of people like yourself. I kind of see myself in them, like when I was younger. And I know how tough it is, and I know how difficult it can be. So bringing my experience, I think, is really valuable. So yeah,
passing down the knowledge, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly, passing down the knowledge. And I've got a few more ideas with it as well.
Nice.
Yeah, it's something that, to be honest, is still relatively new. I'm still kind of setting it up, but I think it's something I will carry on doing even into the future. Even when I have, another drive, maybe an endurance or something like that, because I enjoy doing it as well. It's nice knowing that I've helped a fellow driver and helped him get that a little bit closer to achieving his goals and his dreams.
Yeah, exactly. That's great. And I just wanted to quickly, I guess, jump back to the financial side of racing. So, of course, as you were talking about earlier, we love racing, but it is also nice to make a living and have food on the table at the end of the day in racing.
Absolutely.
And it's a bit crazy how racing works at the moment with, the top series, because I saw an Instagram reel that said, when do you start making money? And then it listed like karting, F4, F3, F2, nope. And then even, the endurance racing, you say local, nope, national, no, international, top international series, yes. It's only once you get to the very top motorsport you start making your money back from racing, because I know in endurance racing, DTM, WEC, IMSA, those top guys, they I guess have paychecks going both ways, and same thing is in Formula One. So I think endurance racing, would you say at the moment, is a bit easier to access easier to make a living off of?
It's difficult because I'll be completely honest, in the endurance world I don't really have so much experience, and the knowledge I've got is kind of through my manager and through people I've kind of spoken to, but my kind of 2 cents is that F1 is more difficult to reach. Let's be honest, it's far more difficult to become an F1 driver than let's say race in GTs or the top endurance championships are obviously still very, very competitive and difficult to get into, but compared to F1 it is quite a bit easier. The thing is, when you get to F1, you're guaranteed to be paid. You are paid by the team, end of story. Whereas once you get into endurance racing, to my knowledge, there are obviously a chunk of drivers that are paid, but the vast majority are still paying to drive.
Yeah.
And I think there are two different ways of being paid in endurance racing. Either you get paid through a factory, so you're a factory driver and you get paid by the team, or the other option is you get paid by sponsors. So you bring in sponsors and they pay for more than the season actually costs. And so through that, you're basically paid. But again, then you're relying on finding sponsors, and it's tricky. It's less reliable than having, let's say, a paycheck from an organization that you get, that is secure. And normally it will be dependent on performance as well. And the sponsors, if they're paying that much, they will be wanting to see, activity on social media, advertising them. So it's a lot of work as well, and you need to make sure you kind of keep them happy as well. So it's a difficult question whether it's easier to be paid as a driver in F1 or endurance racing. I think either way, it's not easy to become a paid driver. That being said, I think endurance racing is probably, maybe a little bit easier, just because I think you have the power to get into endurance racing, and with skill, and if you bring on your own sponsors, you can get into that field. Whereas F1, you still need all of the connections. Also, it's in the whole world. The F1 world is super political.
It's also tricky as well in with F1 versus endurance racing. If you're looking to make money, once you get to the top point of open wheel racing, which is IndyCar, Formula One, and a bit of Super Formula, you're getting paid like guaranteed salary. IndyCar drivers are earning like $1 million, and F1 drivers are earning like $5 million. But then when you get into endurance racing, even once you start to get to the top level, especially the GT guys in WEC or IMSA, they're paying a bit, but once you get to the sort of hypercar level, then you're getting much more of a salary and working with a team more so. Yeah,
exactly. It's difficult really to say. And the thing is as well, that every driver will be a bit different. Every driver has his own skill set, has, things that really suit him in terms of, a car or whatever. There will be some drivers who are extremely, extremely good in, single-seater cars, and then as soon as they move to something that's got a bit less downforce, they struggle more, and then vice versa. And depending on that can really affect what route you take. And like you said, there's so many opportunities, whether it's IndyCar, Super Formula. I think for myself now, it's kind of a bit of an unknown, to be honest. But there are those opportunities out there, which is very good.
Yeah, I've talked to GT drivers that, funnily enough, they race in a national series, but they've also got full-time jobs as well. And I talked to them quite a bit, actually, a bit of relevance for you and a personal question about how they transitioned from, because, they did a lot of stuff like Toyota Racing Series and F4 before making the switch to GT racing. And I always ask them, and I'll ask you now, how would you look to approach at making the switch from open wheel cars to GT? What are you looking to drive different and race different?
I think there's definitely a different aspect to it in terms of it is very different in terms of driving technique, especially F3, which is a light, nimble, high downforce car, You move to GTs, which is a lot heavier, a lot more kind of a bit more like a boat. Still, GT, if you're driving a GT3, it's still a very quick car for what it's worth. I think there would have to be some adaptability on my side, and definitely a bit of learning as well. It's something new to me, but at the same time, it's I can kind of lean on the experience I've gathered over the past years. It will still be very valuable to me.
Yeah,
and I know that once I get used to the fundamentals of a GT car, let's say, then everything else will kind of fall more into place because I have the experience that I kind of need. So yeah, personally, I'm not nervous or worried or concerned about that really. I know that if I make the transition to GTs or LMPs, or whatever it may be, I know I will be quick as well. Obviously, it will take some time to adapt, like I said, but I know I have the speed, and I know I have the ability. And for me now, it's more of kind of about finding what I actually want to do and finding the right route as well forward, because I think in the end now the goal is to really be a paid driver. Like you said, you need to be able to eat at night as well, bring food on the table.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's kind of the goal now, and I think as an F3 driver, I can obviously bring a lot of value to some of the teams in endurance racing from the teams that I've worked with. So let's see what the future brings, but
yeah, exactly.
I'm sure it will. I'm sure it will be good, whatever it is.
Yeah, and what would the mentality switch be like going from F3 to GT? Because I imagine in F3 there's much less chance, and you've got to be a bit more aggressive, especially in the high downforce cars. But if you're looking at the GT cars, especially for your endurance, you're looking at a lap by lap basis of finding your times and getting in a rhythm.
I mean, racing in F3, I can tell you, is like, it's chaos. When you do your first F3 start, and you don't see all of this on TV, but when you're in the cockpit and you see dust being flung up left, right, and center, you see contact between cars. You see, it is. Super aggressive racing, super aggressive. And thing is, in F3, you've got quite young drivers as well that come in, which makes the racing even more aggressive. And obviously, like you said, on some tracks, because of dirty air and so on, it can be a bit more difficult to overtake. So a lot of the opportunities that are made available, drivers tend to take them, which makes the racing quite chaotic, let's say. And switching over then to endurance racing, where it's really, if you're racing for 24 hours, you're not going to win the race at the race start, no
heroics into turn one.
Exactly. No heroics into Sandoval. It's genuinely. There's no point in being super aggressive. Even if you look at all of the past champions in F3 and F2, it's not necessarily always been the quickest driver, but it's been the most consistent.
Yeah.
I can name a few drivers who are extremely good at it, but for example, Fornaroli, for me, he is super strong at just being, really consistent. I remember when I raced Frecker, I was battling for the rookie championship with him. He did not get a single rookie win. I think I had like 3 or so rookie wins and podiums and all of that. But the difference between him and I was that he scored points throughout the whole season, whereas I scored points from I think the fifth race onwards. And then the thing is, I started scoring a lot of strong points.
Was he the one that raced in F3 last year? Because I know that last year the driver champion didn't win a single race at all.
Exactly. Yeah. Same story. Didn't win a single race. They repeated it over, and I mean, in the end, those are kind of the same fundamentals, but just like prolonged through a championship.
Yeah.
In endurance racing, I think as a good driver, you want to be consistent. I think they'd rather have a strong, consistent driver than an ultra fast driver that crashes 50% of the time.
Yeah, exactly.
If you crash 50% of the time, you're never going to get, you're not going to be able to get.
You're not going to get to the end of 24 hours or 12 hours.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, I think in endurance racing that becomes even more so. Then again, in F3 you have the cars that are a lot more fragile than GT cars. I mean, you see GTs.
Yeah, they get to make contact a bit more. Yeah, going into the corner side by side.
Yeah, which is super cool as well.
Yeah, I was going to say.
But I mean, to put it into perspective, F3, the cars are super fragile. In the last race I did in Monaco, Kamara lost his wheel in front of me, and his wheel caused 10 grand of damage to my car.
Wow!
Just the wheel hitting my front wing. And I think it took my both end plates off, and the front wing, one of them, like the upper pane as well. So, yeah, it's kind of a difference, and I guess you can be a bit more kind of less cautious when it comes to contact with GT cars. It's closed wheel, and you don't have the issue of losing front wings and that. But still, I think as a whole, you still want to be rather careful, rather more on the conservative side. And anyway, when you're racing those long races, strategy comes into it a lot more. Timing with safety cars and all of that. So. And it's more teamwork, right, as well. You've got two other drivers, usually, if you're doing longer races. The race is so long that strategy, you can gain not only seconds, but literally minutes and potentially hours if you play it perfectly. So, yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine from what we were just talking about, then the GT cars trying to race alongside each other and they're making contact and bobbing off each other, and then two F3 cars trying to do the same and they just both lose it. But then, at the same time, consistency, because I feel like if you lost control or spun a GT car, that's going to be much harder to save once it gets going round, because all the weight's swinging rounds, than an F3 car where if you spin round once, the aero could snap it back into place, because I saw that in the F1 around cops in some of the practice sessions.
Yeah, I think generally the lighter higher downforce cars, they'll be more sensitive, and when they go round, it'll be really sudden. I mean, when you see
exactly
a big oversteer moment with an F1 car, it is sudden. I mean, and you have to have lightning reactions to really catch those snaps. But because they're lighter, yes, you could argue that they are easier to catch. I mean, I remember when I was racing an F4 with the older F4 car, which was really light. That car was such a ton of fun to drive with, because I mean, it was so light, you could just slide around and you could catch, pretty much anything. You weren't really worried about spinning. And I mean, once you move up to Freca and then F3, cars do get heavier, and it does get a bit more difficult to catch. And it's difficult to say, because GTs, yes, the cars are heavier, but then they're a lot easier to run over curbs. It's just a very different car to drive. I would say it's two different things really for me. And yeah, it's I mean when I get to that, it'll definitely be some adapting and some learning.
Yeah, take you a while to get used to.
Yeah, I reckon so. Hopefully not too long though, but
yeah,
that's always whatever series you're racing in, especially F3. I think that's the big thing in F3. It was always, and that goes for F2 as well, and just anything beyond F3 really. You've got such limited running that when you're on it, when you're on the track, you really have to be on the ball. You have
got to
be
utilize that time.
Exactly. You can't. I mean, you have 1 hour through practice on Friday, like a few hours before quali, and most of the time that free practice session is interrupted, or you're waiting in pit lane until others go out so that you don't go out on a dirty track. And even when we have testing days, we're usually limited by tires, so we don't even run to the fullest potential.
Yeah, so, it always seemed a bit strange to me when the F2 and F3 cars would have one practice session and then bang, straight away all cars out for quali. That's chaos.
Yeah, it is absolute chaos, and yeah, it's crazy, and that's where the sim really comes in handy. If you're, I was very lucky with High-Tech. They had an extremely good sim, at their factory, and that was super, super useful to prepare before weekends. It means that you've got the muscle memory there, and you're not having to kind of learn the track as you go.
Yeah, High-Tech's got a pretty good rap from all the drivers I've spoke to in F4 and F3. They seem to have
honestly
great facilities and driver training.
Do you know what? I think they've had in F3 now with a new car. They've had a tough start to the season. Myself and my two teammates, I think we've struggled a little bit more than we've wanted to, particularly in Bahrain. And but you can see now. I mean, Martinius, he won the feature race in Austria. Mega comeback from him, and it's good to see that they've made some improvements, because a big reason we went with High-Tech, I think obviously the opportunity opened itself to us very late, and we took it. And I mean, we signed the contract pretty quickly, because for me, going to the factory there, meeting the engineers, working with them, they are so ahead of the curve in certain areas that it's super helpful as a driver, because you get so much support. I think I don't want to talk badly about AIX, who I was.
Don't want to burn any bridges.
No, I don't want to burn any bridges. But I mean, let's be honest. We really had a tough season with them, and I think it's difficult to put down exactly what that was. I mean, what the cause of that was, but if I compare High-Tech to AIX, the facilities alone, I mean, is a difference like night and day.
Yeah.
To be fair with AIX, they came in, new team. You've got to give them that. Completely new team. They've got to come from zero. They bought Charouz. They bought PHM, who had bought Charouz. And I think that's where the struggle came from for us, was because the cars were so badly maintained from the previous teams that when AIX got them, they were like left with a heap of junk, and they could only do so much. And it was the last year with the old F3 car, and I don't think there was, a lot of. They didn't want to invest a lot of money in refurbishing cars that were going to be put away into a corner in a year's time anyway, which I can understand.
Yeah.
But anyway, in that year, AIX in themselves, you can see they've had some great results in F2 and now this year in F3 as well. They've done really great with some drivers that I wouldn't have even expected to finish that high up. And it is because the team works well, and they've made some good advancements. But I think in the particular year that I was there, it was just everything was new and everyone was learning at the same time.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think the biggest issue was that it was a battle between the drivers and the engineers. I think, and also there was one driver coach who kind of worked for the team. I'm not going to name him, but he did not cut us drivers any slack, really. Whenever there was a complaint from us, it was always, oh no, you just need to drive better. Look, you just need to, and I mean, we struggled so much. There's damage. We found out there was damage on the cars, and then I think, second to last race, had some kind of issue with my engine that prolonged to the last round in Monza. It was just a long season, a long, really undesirable season that was really frustrating, to be honest, because when you come into your first season in F3, you want to impress and you want to do well. And other than Hungary and Monza, where I was able to qualify within the top 12, unfortunately, Hungary, I got disqualified because the car was underweight by 2.5 kilos. And Monza had that engine issue, but yeah, just a long season.
Yeah.
But it's painful to get back into, to be honest. It's painful. And again, it's tough because I have a lot of frustration towards the team, but again, I can't say, at least the people who were in charge of the team, it wasn't necessarily their fault. And you can see how they're doing now, and they're doing a good job, and they progressed a lot throughout the year as well. I think it was just a combination of inexperienced drivers and inexperienced engineers, and conflict within the team as well, because the atmosphere as well at times was not the best. So yeah.
Well, why don't we go back then and talk about another topic that might make you feel a bit more reminiscent of the good times when we if we just jump to High Tech, and how you talked about how you were able to get the contract signed and go to the factory. What's that process like, and how is it going to look like in GT racing, where you work with your manager to get a seat and put pen to paper?
So I think the process is very different in F3 to GTs. I mean, I haven't had the pleasure of signing a contract for GTs before, but the F3 season, or let's say the signing of contracts and choosing your seats for the next season already starts like almost a season earlier. Maybe I'm exaggerating a bit, but maybe half a season earlier. So right around this time, actually, most drivers on the F3, F2 grids, they will be looking at what they're doing next season.
Yeah.
They will be talking to teams. They'll be arranging, the post-season tests, with teams, and everything is very rushed, very, very. You have to be on it because, again, like I said earlier, it's like a funnel. 30 seats in F3, 22 in F2.
Yeah.
And those seats will be gone in a flash. And I mean, yeah, if you're not swift and if you're not, quick, you won't get a seat. It's as simple as that. And we were actually very lucky with High Tech because one driver who was supposed to race with them ended up kind of not taking that option. And so I think it was literally a week before the postseason test, we got a call from the owner of High Tech, and we were actually, I think my manager at the time was in Jerez for an F4 test, before the test in F3, and he was asking around for teams if they have any seats available because we were logged in with a different team originally. And then due to a technicality with a driver academy bringing another driver, and they had some kind of a deal, we got thrown out. So that we last minute got basically put in a position with no seat. But luckily we found the high-tech opportunity that we were able to, we did the test. Obviously we had to see if they were interested as well, because high-tech is a very strong team and they're not just going to take any driver.
Yeah.
So I had to kind of prove myself to them in the tests and show that I was a driver worth taking in a way. And from there on, within the next few weeks, months, everything was signed, everything was done. So and like I said, with GTs, I haven't really had the pleasure of signing a contract. Yes,
but it'd be a bit later in the year. The negotiations.
Yeah, I think it would be later in the year, and there are various different championships that you can do, and I think in endurance racing, multi-year deals are slightly more popular than in single seats. So you could probably, let's say, especially if you're a factory driver, you'd probably sign a contract for multiple years, whereas in F2 and F3, I've only heard of 1 or 2 occasions where a driver has signed a deal for like more than 2 years, so or more than a year rather. So but the process is different, and there are so many teams in GT, so many championships that again, you're always going to be able to find some kind of a seat, I reckon. Whereas F3 and F2, I think it's almost impossible to find a seat mid-season.
Yeah.
Unless a driver like me drops out due to budget, obviously, and I give away an opportunity. So, it's like, I think, like in many ways, it's just a bit of a different world. And I'm yet to experience all of that as well, and on the opposite ends in GTs.
Yeah, so what's it like for F4 then? Is it sort of around the later part of the year?
F4 is
approximately,
a bit more
if you'd
relaxed. Yes. Let's also, the other aspect to it that I forgot to mention was F3. In F3, the season ends on the 1st of September, which is extremely early. And that adds on to the kind of pressure of people making their minds up with teams because they want to be set before the postseason test. F4, the championships run a lot longer. I remember my last year at F4, I can't remember. I think it was November. I was racing in Nürburgring and it was pouring down with rain. It was cold. And at that point, it is just generally a bit later, and also don't have the limit with, in F4, you're not limited to 3 cars. So in teams, there'll be more open space. I mean, when I was in F4, I had 4 other teammates. It was 4 other teammates. Even 5, depending on the championship.
I was going to say same here in Australian Formula 4.
Exactly, a lot more opportunity. Now, it depends if you're asking me for just a general seat or if you want a top seat. Let's say you want to go into the top championship in F4 with the top team, you're going to have to start to arrange things earlier. Yeah. Because it's all about demand. It's all about supply and demand. That's really what it comes down to in the end. And in F3 and F2, there's extremely high demand. There's always going to be a bigger fish, a driver with a ton of money who's there to, sweep your seat away, take your seat away. Whereas F4, like I said, there are more opportunities, so there's not that pressure of time of getting it signed. And in the end, you sign the contract so that the team can't take the seat away, and also so that the team knows that you're going to pay. So the contract signing is there so that you know that you've got seats.
Exactly.
So,
yeah. One thing that I'd be interested in, actually, and
Yeah.
this is something I've wondered for quite a bit. It might be a bit relevant to me. Hopefully, it would be a bit relevant to me in the next year or so. What do you remember your first F4 signing to be like, when you got no connections, no past history? Did you have a manager, and how'd you get to your first F4 team signing?
So I have to think and remember a bit now. So yeah, my first F4 championship that I competed in was Spanish F4, and at that point I didn't have a manager. No, the manager I've had now for many years, I got to know him in Spanish F4.
Okay.
But the process was kind of done. We were introduced to MP at the time and Spanish F4 through someone who wanted to manage me, but who didn't end up managing me. So I could say it was kind of through a connection. But then again, I think it was a logical option coming from karting, because at that stage we had enough money to go into Spanish F4, but not into Italian F4.
Yeah.
And I think it was a good step in between, because Spanish F4 at that time wasn't as competitive as well. So I didn't have a manager. I just kind of, like a lot of things, you kind of stumble across it. You kind of see it as an opportunity, and we acted on it. We did a test, and we took the opportunity. And at that time, again, I mean, for yourself, I guess you'll be doing some kind of an Australian F4, I guess.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know how the demand is for that championship, but at least for Spanish F4 at the time, they were actually looking for more drivers to compete in the championship. And so it was relatively easy to find a seat. And MP was a good team at the time to compete with, but even still, there wasn't a limit on how many cars they could run. And actually, to combat against the limit, because I think there was still a limit of 6 cars or something ridiculous, like a lot of cars.
Yeah.
But they even had more demands. Then they created a second sister team, basically, so they could bring in more drivers. So that being said, it's very individual. I can't tell you now exactly. There's no process really.
You just kind of got it from a connection, I suppose. Like you were connected, and then.
And the thing is, the teams are there. If you contact the teams and you're like, what are your prices? They're, your business for them. So they're not going to turn you down. But then if you're trying to find a good opportunity, maybe something where you're not spending as much money, that's where maybe you have to do a bit more research, and it's all very complicated. I mean, I could talk about it for forever, for hours, honestly, because I've had so many different circumstances in how contracts have been signed, and last minute, very much in advance, rushed, not rushed. It can go various different ways, and it's very individual to. So many basically variables that come into it, whether it's the championship, team, the driver that you are. If you show good promise and good skill, then you don't even have to do any of the work. The teams will scout you, and they will come and try and find you. It comes by itself like that, and the good thing is, once you're in that kind of F4 racing world, or in the racing world generally, you'll be surprised by how many teams know who you are, and try and hire you, or more like get you in their team. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's, long story short, I think it's very dependent on many factors.
Yeah, I think a lot of the stuff you said
Yeah.
there for Spanish F4 as well is quite similar to Australian Formula 4, so that's quite
Yeah,
positive and something to look out for, because I've been reaching out to
absolutely.
teams personally, and for the moment the most realistic option is to do a test at the end of the
Okay.
year, because they do like programs, and we were looking at doing one at the end of the year, so
Yeah,
so that's good. And then from
that's
there,
awesome. Yeah.
if you know you're quick enough, then you can take a look at it, because another thing with, you know, big budget or small budgets in motorsport is it's got to be worth the move, because you're not going to pay for a season in F2 if you've barely got the money, but you're going to be like dead last. It's got to be something of value, I suppose.
Yeah, it's true. There's no point in just spending money just to spend money just to, race.
Yeah.
There has to be kind of an aim behind it. And, to be honest, I've always raced because I've really enjoyed it. But especially throughout the years in single seaters, sorry. And, beyond that, it will be because of money. It's an investment.
Yeah.
I left, like I said, I left school when I was 16, and that's because I wanted to earn money through racing.
Was that your final year in school? Like it would have
Yeah,
been
that
your
was
final year in school? Yeah.
my final year of mandatory school, basically, before going to, I guess you could say, college, which is very early, and it was a big sacrifice. And even now, I think about it sometimes, especially in this situation, when you run out of money and you kind of not, you don't really know where you're headed. You kind of think, damn, should I have really stopped
Yeah.
school? But, and I think the thing is, if you have the opportunity to continue your school, I think you should still continue doing it. The reason I did it was because the only way for me to continue racing and school was to go to a private school. My parents just couldn't afford to send me to a private school. They were already trying to cover, the expenses from racing, and not necessarily the time when I was 15, 16, I was racing in Spanish F4. And so I will have had, investors and sponsors and supporters on board by that time. But, even just the travel costs and the expenses of having, a manager or a driver coach, that is a serious expense as well. And yeah, I mean, here in Switzerland, you can easily spend 30, 40,000 a year on private school, and my parents just did not have the money, unfortunately, to do that. So I think at the time it was the right choice, and I don't regret it by any means. I know that racing is going to be the way that I make money, and
Yeah.
I can't think of, it would be good to have maybe a degree in something else, whatever. But let's be honest, there's nothing. School can't give me anything that I would necessarily need now. I have everything. All of the experience I've gained through racing is what I need to progress and to kind of build up my life. So,
Yeah.
But I don't know. I completely diverted there from
Yeah, that's all good.
what we were originally talking. Sorry, mate.
Because I was gonna say that even I have because I haven't even dropped out of school or done anything that you've done, but even I have those moments of like, is this really
Yeah.
worth it? Like if you spend a load of money, like recently I had a big off in my go-kart, and then we had to spend a ton of money to get it fixed, and it's kind of those moments where you think, is it really worth it? But then for
Yeah.
me personally, I focus on the positives, and then it's funny because once I get out on the track again, I'm like, yeah, definitely worth it.
Exactly. That's the thing. Always when you get out on track, it's worth it. And you'll come across so many. I mean, over the years, there have been so many lows, so many moments where I'm like honestly, what am I doing? Like, what is this even worth it? But it is, and you really have to believe that it is. I think a lot of people overlook the mental side. The mental side is such a massive aspect of the racing.
Yeah.
Pure performance-wise on race days, it's a big thing. But not only that, just just in terms of belief, you need to have the belief that you can, achieve what you want to achieve. You need to be able to say that out loud. It is so, so important. And even now I'm kind of learning stuff about it, and I think that's kind of the beauty about racing, is that you learn so much about yourself. You have to be so self-critical, so you have to know yourself. In the end, the best drivers, they know themselves. They know what works for them, what doesn't work for them, and that's what makes them great drivers as well. And again, other disciplines, other sports, you will have similar things as well. You also really have to know yourself. But in every day-to-day life, in a job that doesn't really, let's say a 9-to-5 job, your only requirement is to show up and do your job, and that's it. And they don't ask anything extra really. And most people, they're just there to do the bare minimum. And racing and sport in general, I think is amazing, because you go beyond that. You go and you look for your maximum, and you look for every single detail. And especially in racing, where every millisecond counts. You'll know that. But coming back to what you said, with the kart needing repairs and that, I can just say, keep at it, keep the belief. I can see already, just with the work you're doing, on social media at your age, really is amazing.
Thank you.
I'm not just saying this really, but I can see that you've got a really good work ethic, and that's most of it, to be honest. Just being disciplined, and alongside that, having the belief as well, and working for yourself in the end. Who knows? In a few years, you might be a paid driver as well. And if not, you might be doing some kind of other work in racing. But either way, most likely you'll be working for yourself, and I think that's the great thing: working for yourself versus working for someone else. It's just so much better, because you're not really dependent on anything. You can structure your own life.
Exactly.
Comes with a lot of responsibility as well, and that's what I found out as well. You have to have the awareness. You have to kind of say, okay, I'm not doing enough now, I need to do more in this direction. You have to be very self-critical, but when you are like yourself, and you're doing good work like that, there's no reason to stop really. And just keep working away, and there'll be moments that you come across, and you'll be like, I have no idea how I'm gonna get through this, but you just get through it, and before you know it, it'll be be better times. And I think as well, something that's really underrated is just always having a positive mindset, just always being positive. So many people are pessimistic and negative, and if you think about it, if you're just negative, you're just in a bad mood, and it affects your whole quality of life. Your whole quality of life is basically affected by your mood and your positivity. If you're positive, and if you wake up every day and say, today's going to be a great day, then it is. So yeah, there's so many aspects, and I'm sorry I've been talking
No, it's all good.
going on and on, not letting you talk too much. But yeah,
Yeah, you're gonna have bad moments in racing or even any sport, and I think that's just a given. If you want to do something really great, you're gonna have low moments. I'm sure even Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen, they definitely had their own moments. Probably still have moments now where they're like, "Is this really worth it, or should I be trying this hard?" But this is the analogy I'm going to use. One bad scene doesn't mean you've got a bad movie.
Absolutely, I love that saying. That is a great scene.
I was thinking about that for a minute.
That is a very good saying. Yeah, it's so true, and the thing is, to reach your goals, you are going to have to, go through difficult stages. You're better off going through, some hardships, and sacrifice a little bit more when you're younger, and that will pay off so much more once you're older. And compared to some people, they just they don't really care too much about life. Just, it's fine to go out and enjoy yourself, but there are some people that just take it too far, and they go out every night and they don't have any ambition in life.
Yeah, ambition.
Exactly, direction. And then the thing is, you end up a few years down the line, and you're doing something you don't love, because earlier on in life you kind of neglected the importance of taking initiative and kind of directing your life into the right way. So, but yeah, like you said, one bad scene doesn't make it a bad movie.
Yeah.
That is a very good saying. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it kind of actually quite a very poetic episode, because it's that kind of links back to all the struggles of finances in motorsport, but at the end of the day, once you get back in the car, it's gonna be worth it. I'm not speaking for you, but I'm like 99% sure once you get back in any sort of race car and get out on track, it's gonna be 100% worth it again. And I guess just ride the wave wherever it takes you, and
100%.
Look at GT, F1, whatever you want to.
Exactly. It's I mean, the sky is really the limit, and I think a lot of times people look at a certain situation, they look at the present, and they kind of think, I'm not going to be able to do this. I don't know how I'm going to be able to do this. But I think about a year ago or 2 years ago, and even though I haven't got a seat right now, in that time I have achieved so many things that I would never have thought that I would have been able to achieve. It's kind of step by step. It's always going to be a long journey. It's always going to be more of an endurance race than a sprint, and you've just got
that's a good one to say.
Yeah, it's always going to be an endurance race, and you've just got to be patient, step by step, and it will come. So, but I agree. It's been a very poetic episode, hasn't it?
Yeah. And I was going to ask you as well, you're pretty happy that, because of course it's great to look at the positives, so you're pretty happy that you got to end it in, finish out the races in Monaco. That's a pretty pretty good one to remember.
Ironically, I think the first ever F1 race that I watched on TV at the time was around Monaco.
Oh, yeah.
And I ended it in Monaco. So, it is... I think it's it's cool the way it ended there, and it was quite emotional with the team and stuff. I was obviously quite devastated to end the season there because, honestly, I mean, I have so much love for High Tech. They're such an awesome team, great mechanics, great engineers, just great team on the whole. And it's a bit sad, like it makes me feel a bit sad that I'm not a part of that anymore in a way. But like you said, you have to take away the positives as well. And I think it was the way it ended. It was nice. And on top of that, now I've got maybe a bit more time to focus on other things. And yeah, let's see what the future brings. But either way, I'm optimistic, and I'm looking forward to whatever comes next. And anyway, I've got a few things planned anyway, so it's not like I've got absolutely no direction.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's when you stop and you haven't got anything planned. That's when it can be scary. That's when you're like, what am I going to do? But I've got a few things in mind, whether that's with the racing or with the driver coaching. I mean, I've got ideas in both kind of realms. So, yeah, and I'm looking forward to it. So, yeah,
as we said, lots of opportunities, even to stay around F1 in the Porsche Super Cups, or some of the feature races in the UK or Melbourne, and then GTs. So tons of stuff out there, and you'll be looking like you and your manager from here, just kind of looking around everywhere, I suppose, taking everything in, any possibilities.
Yeah. Well, actually, now I'm not working with my manager anymore because, I mean, obviously, my manager, he needs to be paid as well, and obviously because we ran out of money, I'm not working with him anymore. But anyway, I might be working with a new manager at some point. Like I said, I've been talking to quite a few people. It's been nice because there's been so much support, since my post that I made, kind of announcing that I'm not racing anymore. There's been, so many nice messages and so many people who have come to me, with ideas and support just generally. So no, it's been great. And anyway, I'll be looking for new opportunities anyway. So
yeah, sure.
Let's see.
And I don't want to touch on this too much more, don't want to hurt you anymore, but I'll just ask maybe one more question about High Tech and all that, where a lot of drivers run out of money during the middle of the season. So does that mean that when you pay for a season, you pay it in full or by installments round per round? If you can talk about that at all?
Yes. So, I mean, I can absolutely talk about this because in all teams it will be relatively similar, and all of the categories running up until F3, even F4 will be like this to some extent. But yes, you pay in installments. You don't pay it all in one go.
Okay.
You probably can pay all in one go.
That's for the people that are really top dollar, I suppose.
Yeah. I think people who have got a lot of money, they might come round and say, all right, we're going to pay you this amount, we're going to pay it all in one go. And then obviously that's very appealing to the teams because they get the cash right there and then. And, they can use it to invest in different things. But the way it was with High Tech and how it's been with other teams is usually there's one bigger installment at the beginning of the year, which is the reason it's bigger is I think usually it's like 20 to 40% of the season, the total season budget is made on the first installment. And the reason it's made is because basically the team wants assurance, obviously, that you're able to pay for the whole season. and second of all, they need that money most of the time again for investments, whether that's car development or anyway, there are team costs they need to cover with that money, and particularly now with the new car, they needed to buy all of the new cars, and so they needed that capital to obviously to buy those cars. So usually it's one bigger installment. Say it's usually more than 20. You're getting a very good deal if you're only paying 20% of the budget.
So like 30 to 40.
I'd say 30 to maybe even 50 in some cases, and then usually it's smaller installments as the season goes on.
Just like round by round or randomly quarterly?
There are different structures. Sometimes it's quarterly. For us, it was, I think, after every 2 or 3 races. I think it was, it wasn't quarterly, but it's basically every 2 or 3 months there was a new installment, or every 2 months on average. And yeah, you need to make those new installments, and there you go until the season is fully paid for, and so that's what happens most of the time. A lot of drivers, they go through the season, and sometimes investors pull out. Like in my case, the investors did not want to pay any more, and we weren't able to find any more supporters, so we just weren't able to continue. So that's what happens. And I mean, the budgets are extremely high. In F3, you need on average 1.5 million, I'd say, for a season, and that's before all of the travel costs and coaching and personal coach and manager and all of that takes up a big fee as well. And then F2 is looking at over 2 million, 2.5 million. And it ranges, obviously. There are some good drivers who will get some good deals, and there are some absolutely minted drivers who will be paying a hefty price, let's say. So, it's dependent. So,
yeah. And do you know? Have you seen any examples of a driver having their season paid by a driver academy?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are many cases. It's rare that the driver academy pays for 100% of the costs.
Yeah, of course.
Usually it's more like 50%, I'd say, and each academy is a bit different. I mean, when I was back in karting, I was with the Sauber Academy, and they helped us a little bit.
Oh wow! Didn't know that. That's a nice bit of info.
Yeah. I was with for 1 year, and then they wanted me to do another year in karting, but we wanted to move up to F4, which is why we then moved up to F4. So yeah, it's very dependent. I mean,
just kind of varies, I suppose.
It really varies on the academy, on the driver, on I mean, again, so many variabilities, and no one is going to know the full details of someone's driver academy contract deal, but usually it comes with some financial compensation, or support, because I mean, that's kind of what they're for as well. They're there to help you through connections and teams as well. They will see value in having, let's say, Red Bull Academy driver or McLaren Academy driver or whatever it is in F1. They will see a lot of value in having a driver from that academy in their team. So that can help on the financial side by itself without even the academy coming in financially, if that makes sense.
Yeah, of course. Nice. And one thing I would love to start introducing into these new episodes and new seasons, which I kind of did already in season 1, is to give you some kind of quick fire questions based on, where you're looking to next, and your personal thoughts on favorite tracks and stuff. So if I just shoot you some questions and you could answer them in a short answer or quickly, that'd be great. Yeah.
I won't go too long.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're talking like tracks, favorite series, favorite drivers. So if you just want to get your brain calibrated, I'll ask you.
Yeah.
What's your favorite track to drive on in the F3 car?
Melbourne. I'm not just saying this, but it's actually Melbourne.
Melbourne, yeah.
Like not just because you're Australian, but it's an awesome track.
Yeah, nice. So I probably have the same, to be honest. But what's your favorite track then overall, and why?
I would still say Melbourne is probably the best track I've driven on, just because it's such a good mix of everything. You've got high speed, you've got low speed, and it's semi street circuit, semi normal track. So for me, it's been as a track to drive on, at least, I'd say it's in my top 3 at least. It's not my favorite.
Yeah, might have answered my next question then, but street circuit or full purpose circuit?
For racing, full purpose circuit. For just driving, street circuit.
You got to give one answer though, just one answer overall.
Full purpose.
Full purpose, nice.
Yeah.
Now, endurance racing, WEC or IMSA, if you follow those series?
WEC or IMSA? IMSA.
IMSA? American side, nice. Would you rather win the 24 Hours of Nürburgring 3 times or the 24 Hours of Le Mans once, overall class winners?
No, we were Nürburgring 3 times.
Nürburgring 3 times?
Yeah, I'm German as well, so I've got.
Oh yes, yeah, of course.
Yeah. So,
if you could be signed by any of the factory drivers in WEC, so you got your Porsche, BMW, a Porsche, BMW, Ford Mustang, Ferrari, Lamborghini, and Audi, what would it be? Porsche.
Easy.
Porsche fan. Yeah. So, what would be your favorite Porsche model or favorite Porsche car?
Oh, good question. I mean, I might sound basic saying this, but the 911 GT3 RS is, is an all-time favorite. But actually, I really like the, I think it's the 2012 911 GT3 RS. Here. If you've got some time, I'll show you my my background on my PC. You'll see.
Oh yeah, do you can show it now if you want.
Yeah, wait. Let me just fire up my.
There we go. Nice, perfect.
Yeah, it's definitely 2010s.
Yeah,
but with those taillights, I think it looks just so awesome. And obviously back in the day, I quite like all of the kind of supercars, just cars generally made between, I'd say, 2005 and 2015, because you got the right mix for me between being modern but not being like too many electronics and too many, you've got all of the cars nowadays with soft limiters. All of that. They're more pure, let's say, with the kind of
got more character.
Exactly, a bit more character.
Yeah, nice.
So
would you ever look to race in the Porsche Carrera Cups then? Because each country's got one of them.
Yeah. Absolutely, I would. I mean, it's just now about for me looking at what the best option is for the future. I mean, like we've said many times, there are so many avenues that you can take when it comes to racing. now I've just got to figure out what the best one is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And luckily I've got the rest of the year to to think about that. So, yeah. But absolutely I would. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. So what's Joshua Dufek going to do from here to the end of the year? Are you going to, of course, keep training, iRacing?
Yeah, I think get back on iRacing, do some more of that. I think the driver coaching is something I'm going to try and up, and then I've got with the driver coaching, I've got something planned. I don't want to give it away yet, but it's basically I want to. Well, you'll see.
Yeah.
In a few months, I reckon you'll see it. Hopefully, but just expanding on that basically, because, like I said, I've got lots of experience, and if I can bring that to drivers in an affordable way, I think that is, it's something worth doing. So.
Yeah, that's great. And because it's been quite a good episode, quite good chats about everything. So have you got any final words or any thoughts you wanted to give about anything we've talked about so far to the audience? Because I know lots of different kind of racers and people that want to get into karting and racing and currently doing racing, they watch.
Yeah, I think as a final message, obviously we've covered a huge range of things, and I think if you're getting into racing, it can be scary. At times thinking about all of the steps that you need to take, and there'll always be a million reasons why not to do something. There'll always be something to convince you that it's too difficult, or you can't do it, or it's too expensive. But my message is really believe in yourself. Have trust, and no matter what anyone else says, keep on trying. Keep on, getting up, giving it your all, and results will come. It's a tough world, but if you believe in yourself, you really can do it, and that is a fact.
Yeah, like we said as well, we said that one bad scene doesn't make a bad movie, of course.
Absolutely.
And it's an endurance race, not a sprint. So those are two quotes that I'd happily put on a t-shirt, and I'll definitely take those. Yeah, exactly.
Quote of the podcast.
Yeah, quote of the podcast for the week. I can have one each week. But no, it's been a great chat, and to everyone watching, if you're still watching, firstly, thank you. Make sure you subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Yeah, they better be, because it's been a great chat. Yeah. So if you're still watching, please make sure you like and subscribe if you're on YouTube. Spotify is really important for likes on podcasts. If you like the podcast, give it a good review. That's sensational. I've actually still got a 5-star rating on my podcast, so that's awesome. I want to try to keep that up. It's only 2 reviews, but it's still 5 stars. So see if I can keep that up.
2 out of 2.
Yeah, exactly. Go 3 for 3. But thank you all.
3 for 3.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you all so much for watching. Been with Josh Dufek. Make sure you go check out his stuff. That'll all be linked. Everything's always linked in the description. So thank you for joining us on the first MP4 filed podcast episode of season 2. Loads more coming in the next few weeks with some pretty big names as well. So thank you so much for watching, and enjoy your day.